how I clean and sanitize my implements, which are my tweezers. So to start off, we have CS20 here. This is a Preempt CS20. It's a very high concentrate of peroxide. You got to be extremely careful when you're using this. This is a medical grade. It's only good for 14 days and then it has to be changed. Always make sure you check your expiry date on them, because I've been hearing a lot of people been picking them up and they've been expired. So always check your expiry date. So first off, we have our sanitation tray right here. It has little holes in it. So once you're done cleaning your tweezers, you put them in there and you submerge them. So first is first. When you get these and they're empty, you always fill them up so that you can see that it's covering the tray. You don't want to overfill it or it'll overflow, but you do want to make sure that you have enough to submerge them, but not too much and not too little, because the whole purpose is to disinfect the entire tweezer. So once you have that all filled up and everything good to go, so first we're going to start off with our dirty tweezers. So we need to, sorry, 1 second here. We need to check to make sure that there is no excessive glue left. Now I put some glue on this tweezer because I wanted to show, you see all that black glue there? So what you have to do is you need to remove that first, because your soap and water is not going to get it off, and your Preempt CS20 is definitely not going to bring it off either. Therefore, you're going to still have a dirty tweezer. So you take acetone and you do a couple pumps, and then what you're going to do is, this is what we use to remove any excess glue when we're lashing or when we're cleaning our tweezers. So you get in there, and sometimes you gotta let it soak a little bit depending on how much is on there. But you just sort of rub it off. You can see it all kind of coming off there. I got quite a bit on there, and that was me digging in an old bottle. So you keep rubbing it just like you're removing nail polish until it's all completely off. Now some people will pop it off too by taking 2 tweezers and just sort of scraping it. That will pop it off. You can see there it's all like cleaned off. You got to be careful because the tips of your tweezers are very delicate and you can bend them really easy. So once that's popped off, then you go through again and just make sure that there's none left on there, because that's going to affect when you try to close your tweezers and pick up lashes as well. So these ones I use for isolating. They don't have any adhesives on them. So from here you take these 3 tweezers and you're going to give them a lash bath. Now typically I would do this in the sink, but I'm trying not to get into the camera view here. I'm trying to show you. So you would submerge these in your bath, and then you have a nice little scrubby brush, and you would go along and you would scrub to make sure all impurities are off, all dirt, debris. Make sure you get in every nook and cranny. Okay, and then from there you need to rinse them. So we'll get these guys too over right here. Wherever your hands touch, it's always a good idea to get all the handles in between. And then you would rinse with a nice lukewarm water. Okay? And then it's good to make sure you really give that good access a shake. So then you have them cleaned with soap and water. And I just use a little bit of Dawn dish soap. And then what you do is you put them in and you submerge them. So the CS20 will kill HIV, certain viruses. It's all listed on the back. And it's really important that you don't get it on your skin because it's a very high concentrate of peroxide, hydrogen peroxide. It can really burn you, and it's very uncomfortable. But if you don't rinse it off, and if you leave a little bit of like a trace of it on your tweezers, the same thing. If you're holding your tweezers and you have old CS20 that has dried on there, you're gonna start, your skin's gonna start turning white, and it's gonna start to burn you. So it is extremely important that those stay in for 20 minutes. Some people will say if it doesn't come into contact with bodily fluids or so on and so forth, it can be, certain times, but always play it safe. Play it as if, the worst has happened to them. Leave them in for 20 minutes. You can never be too safe. So 20 minutes are up, we'll say, and we're gonna pull our tweezers out. You can use gloves to pull them out. It's probably a good idea, but since we're going straight into the water, I usually just use my fingers. So now you wanna make sure you give these the most thorough rinse, because again, if not, and some of that CS20's on there, you can give yourself a burn. And if you don't have them dry enough and you go straight to a client and you get CS20 in their eye or on their eyelid, it is not a good situation. So that being said, also always make sure you have an eye rinse on hand, because if you were ever to splash any up into your own eyes, you want to rinse that out right away. So from here we have our wet tweezers. Now you shake off the excess. I always go in and dry them, because if you don't dry them and you have a very humid place or a cooler place, or they're not going to dry right away, your tweezers will start to rust. So or your implements if you're using any other kind of implements. So it's really important to give them like a little dry off. And then what I do is I have an extra one of these trays. So I took the inside out and I line it with paper towel, and I just put my tweezers upward, because if you point them down, what's going to end up happening is, again, those tips are very fragile, so you don't want to end up bending your tips or bumping them or anything. So I would just leave those in there for about a half an hour, and those should be nice and dry. And then when they're done being dry, what I do is I take my other box, which is the same as the Silkline one, and then I just put them in my implement box. And it's always important to have something that's covered, because if it's not covered, then dust and dirt and allergens and everything can get in there, and it is not what you want. Again, just take your tweezers out, open the box, put them in there, close it nice and tight, and you should be good. But this is the proper way to clean and sanitize your tweezers, and I will move on to the next video.